1 Corinthians chapter 10. We're going to read verse 13. Those who are familiar with the Concordant version will, of course, be well acquainted with this verse. We'll compare it with the King James and talk about a wonderful truth that gets missed. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. Now faithful, should start up a little higher. No trial has taken you except what is human. Now faithful is God, who will not be leaving you to be tried above what you are able, but together with the trial will be making a sequel also to enable you to undergo it. I mentioned it a few times already. Life's hard. We need to understand life's hard by design. God designed it to be hard. Anything of any worth is hard. School's hard, and there's a product of an education that you get out of it. Work is hard. Life is hard by God's design. But God has designed something that will enable us to go through those hard times. The King James Version says that He will make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it. The Concordant says that He gives us a sequel. Amen. Now, I think we all know what sequels are. If you ever saw a good movie and you were hoping for another one, and then along a little later would come a sequel. You go into the theater to see it, if that's where you go, or wait for it to come at home, and you watch the movie, and then it ends, and it's over. And then some time passes, and the movie comes back again, the rest of the story. A lot of things we've been talking about here this weekend are about the grand sequel of the movie of this life. This life, the movie of this life may not be all that great of a movie. But I guarantee you, God guarantees us that the sequel is a blockbuster. Mm-hmm. A blockbuster. The sequel. And if we will just know the sequel that God has in our lives, it will enable us to go through whatever it is that we encounter. When we're looking in our life, sometimes we can't see exactly where the storyline is going in this first part. And it twists and turns, and sometimes, and you ever see a movie that just didn't seem like it ended right, I like movies that come to a conclusion. I like movies that come to a happy conclusion myself. And there's movies just they end, and you're like, you put all that time in it, and you're... And then it just went nowhere, and it just stopped, and it ended. And sometimes our life may seem that way. And it's all over, the credits go by, the lights go out, and time passes. And that's our life. The credits pass at the end of our life, the eulogies, the lights go out, and then the movie returns. And the best is yet to come. Don't ever forget it. This is what God gave us to get through our trials, is that there's a sequel. The world doesn't know about it. That's why there is such confusion in the world, and such depression in the world, and such hopelessness in the world. They don't know there's a sequel. But you and I have already seen a preview. We saw the trailer to the sequel. Paul's the revealer. He's the one taking the trailer around and letting us watch. And we say, oh, we're gotta see that. Wait till we see, and you ever see a good trailer and you say, oh man, I gotta see that movie. That's good, And then some of those companies are really tricky and they put all the good stuff from the movie in the little trailer. You remember some of those? You say, man, all we needed was a trailer. But God doesn't work that way. And all these little glimpses that we read in Paul of that sequel that's coming are just the trailer for what is in store for you and I. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2. You don't even have to go there if you want. We're backed up to lunch. But the Scriptures tell us that God gave the Lord Jesus Christ a sequel so that He could endure the cross. For the joy set, the movie set was made, for the joy that was set before Him, He endured the cross. Endured the cross. Think the cross was easy? Gethsemane was easy. You lose your friends. You ever go through a trial and you just would like a friend who could empathize with you and understand and care? And you're agonizing and your best friends are over here sleeping. And your very being is ripped from you. And you're mocked and you're beat. And you're nailed to a stake. How'd you get through all that? Hebrews tells us how. The Father gave Him a sequel. Look what's coming, my son. Look what's coming. Just a little while. And look what's coming. Just to get through these few hours right here. And it's going to all be over. And then you're going to be exalted with a name that's above every name. And that redemption, that kinsman redeemer that Tony told us so wonderfully about. Yeah, they spit on Him back there and called Him a so-and-so. But the endless sequel, He will not be a so-and-so, and He will not be spit on anymore. We will worship and adore Him. And there's a sequel to your life. And I always tell people who are going through trials, just remember, this is part one of your life. This is part one. And no matter how young you are, it's almost over. Because this life is the vapor life. For what is your life? It is even a vapor. You're in the vapor life. And it's going to be over like that. I remember one of the final things that my father told me at 85 years old. He said, it was just the other day I was a little boy. Bam! And then endless sequel while a little gap, while the stage is down and the lights are out. And then the sequel will begin. That's what we endure with. That's what Father has given us. He's not given us an escape so that we can bear something. He's given us a sequel that's coming. You and I keep our eyes on the sequel. The sequel, part 2 of your life, is going to be a blockbuster. It's gonna be good. God wrote the script. He's the director of the script. He's the producer. And you and I get to live in not something that we dreamed or achieved, but something that He designed. For all is out of Him, and all is through Him, and all is for Him. And we're thankful for the sequel that God is giving us. He's the placer, He's the subjector, He's the disposer. And I encourage you that no matter what you and I will face, and I tell us this because we're all going back, from the weekend and face life. And life is hard by design. Keep your eye on the trailer to the sequel.